Kim from Kimberbell, and I am here to talk about a product called Playful Pet Kerchiefs. Now, this is a new design CD that you can see here that is filled with all kinds of fun, unique designs for that beloved fur baby in your life, whether it be a dog, a cat, hey, a goat, a chicken, whatever type of animal is your little loved one, you'll want to make a little playful pet kerchief for them, right? So what makes this even easier and even more fun to create on your embroidery machine is that we have these Kimberbell Blanks. And so let's take a look at what they look like in the package here. We've got two different types of designs here. Each package has two different patterns. So you're going to have this gray set that's available. It's got a plaid and a polka dot. And then there's a more tan set that you can see here in these samples that is just as darling. So this is something that is sold in shops. The gray version of it is something that it has been part of our Fill in the Blank program. And so if you know of a shop that's doing the Fill in the Blank program by Kimberbell, that is something you can certainly get through them. All right. Now, the great thing about these pet kerchiefs is, well, a few things. For one, let's take a look at this one here. When you open them out of the package, they actually come nice and flat, just like so. So all of the edges are serged, like you know we like to do it at Kimberbell with our Kimberbell Blanks. We like to have something that has an open side seam and is serged around the edges. This makes it really easy for hooping. Now the other thing that you're gonna love about this is that it comes as one size, all right, in the large size, but these pet kerchiefs can actually be sized down to smaller sizes depending on the size of your pet. And I'll show you how easy it is to do that here in just a moment. Now, the other thing that makes this unique, well, you've got these already built-in snaps. Take a look there. We've got these snaps that make it so simple to simply be able to lay this down onto the bed of your machine, stitch out the design, sew up the edges, and then you'll see here eventually we will sew this together and place our collar, our dog collar inside, and just snap around the collar. Okay, so makes it really, really a fun, easy, fast, quick project. And who doesn't want to dress up their little fur baby with a darling little pet kerchief? All right, so let me show you how easy it is to cut this down to the size you need. I want you to take a look at your directions that are included on your CD, and here you'll see that there's a materials list, all right? And on the materials list, of course, it's gonna tell you what type of stabilizer you need, how many fabric scraps you need and such. But down here, a little bit further, is a chart. And so you can take a look at this chart, and if you've got, you know, a little bitty fur baby, then you're gonna want probably to use the extra small, but it tells you the pounds, the weight of that dog and what works well for a dog or a cat. And then it goes into a small size, medium, and large. All right, now, so I'm gonna take a look at this and I go, okay, I can't wait to make this for my little Bella. I've got this cute little Snorky, and her name is Bella, and so I'm gonna make today's design for her. And she falls into that small category, all right? So the first thing I'm gonna do is, of course, load the design on my machine and find the small version of this design. Okay, so once I've done that, I've got my machine ready to go. I now am going to look at what stabilizer I need. In this case, we are using the Kimberbell Wash Away Sticky Back Stabilizer. This makes it so simple to just float your design or your Kimber blank on top of the hoop, stitch it out, and then just wash away all the extra. So we'll be using that today. Okay, so the first thing you want to do, of course, is to measure your kerchief. Now, according to the chart, I'm going to cut it down to the small size because my little Bella, my little Snorky, would fall under the small category. Now, I've got another fur baby in my life, and that is a beautiful golden retriever named Milo. And if I were doing this for him, I would actually keep it at this largest size, okay? But since I'm making this one for Bella at the small size, I'm gonna show you how to cut it down. Of course, in the instructions, it's gonna guide you through every step, whether you are making the very smallest of sizes all the way up to the largest. The first thing I wanna do is lay my pet kerchief down with the right side facing up, and then I'm going to fold it in half with the wrong sides together, okay? When I do that, I would just wanna make sure that my serge edges here line up pretty close. All right, then I'm going to take this over to my ironing board and give it just a gentle press across this mid center. I've already done that, but when you go to do this, I want you to make sure that you use a pressing cloth as you do this, because we don't want those metal snaps to get too hot. If they get too hot, you might scorch your fabric, and we don't want that to happen. So take a pressing cloth, place it over the top, and just give it a gentle pressing to create that mid center line. All right, now because I want to cut this down to size, I'm going to look at my directions in step 2, and as you can see there, if I measure over on each side and go to just on the other side of the first row of snaps, that's going to give me enough for a medium-sized dog. But I want this for my little small dog, so I'm going to go one step further to the second row of snaps and measure right there and be able to cut that off there. Again, if you wanted to go even further than that for the extra small size, as outlined in direction step 2, you would go to that point. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take my ruler and my water-soluble pen, and as you can see in direction step 2, that small size, I'm going to draw a line from the top of the fold down to the hem, and I'm just going to do that on the right side of the snaps. All right, okay. Now this doesn't have to be perfect. This is a general guideline, of course, but this is just as simple as it gets. You just want to draw a vertical line. It doesn't have to be so far over from the snaps, just a little bit to the right, okay, on this side. On this side, I'm going to go a little bit towards the left. The line is just going towards the center of your pet kerchief, okay? So I'm going to, here's my first row for a medium-sized dog, but this is my second row. That's the one I'm looking for. And if the snaps are not exactly one on top of the other, that's no problem. Just use it again as your general guide for where to cut. It's all going to snap up just as intended at the end, okay? So I will draw that just to the left of my snap, okay? All right, now, once I've done that, I can take my ruler and just cut that vertical line. All right. Just be careful not to get your rotary blade too close to the snap. Of course, you wouldn't want that. It might nick your blade, right? Okay, now I'm good there. I've cut that off, and it is time to fold this pet kerchief again in half lengthwise, and I'm going to make sure that my snaps stay on the outside edge. And this is going to give me the place where I want to cut off along here, okay? Now, I'm just going to finger press this. We would consider this fold B as outlined in your directions, okay? So I've got fold A here, I've got fold B here. I'm going to measure down from the top here, from fold A, and draw a little horizontal line across the pet kerchief where I want it to be folded at, all right? So here we go. Again, if you take a look at direction step 5, you're going to notice that if I wanted to make this for an extra small pet, I'm going to measure from the top down 7.5 inches. I'm actually going to make this for my small pet, so as outlined in direction step 5, I'm going to measure from the top down about 8.25 inches. All right. and just place my mark there. All right. Okay, again, it just needs to be a little horizontal line. Let's go ahead and unfold the kerchief and place it here on this flat surface. And I want the snaps facing towards me, and I want the tag facing out here, okay? And as you can see here, I've noticed that I've got my little horizontal line right there. That's exactly where it needs to be. Now at this point, you could do a couple things. You could use a regular 45-degree ruler to do this next step, or since we love the orange pop rulers here at Kimberbell, we're gonna use our orange pop ruler to do this. Both ways are outlined in your instructions. I am just going to place the tip, the corner tip of this orange pop ruler right there, and the tip up here just right along the center, okay? And once I've done that, I can now take my pen here and just mark from that center horizontal line that I started with and mark it all the way to the edge here, okay? And do the same thing on this side. Okay, again, if you don't have an orange pop ruler, no problem, just use a 45-degree angle with your regular ruler. Okay, now, once I've done that, I want to fold my kerchief in half again. All right, and I'm going to make sure everything's aligned, and now I'm going to use these new markings for where I'm going to cut. Let's go ahead and cut right along those lines. And one more cut this way. There we go. All right, now let's go ahead and unfold that kerchief again. This time, again, with the right sides facing up, but the snaps are out away from me, and the Kimberbell tag here is towards me, all right? Now, what I wanna do is just fold up about 1 inch along these two sides, okay? So I can get out my ruler here and measure up approximately 1 inch. Oh, how's that for eyeballing? That's a perfect 1 inch. I think I've done this a few times, right? Now I'm going to just give it a gentle finger press. It doesn't have to be anything more than just a finger press. You're going to use this to line up on your stabilizer here in just a moment. Okay, so I've done that side. I'm going to do the same on this. Let's see how close I can get on that one. Pretty close. I'm close enough, right? There we go. 1 inch and fold, and press, I should say. Okay, you've done the hardest part, and it wasn't that hard, was it? That is just to find the exact measurement you need for the size of pet you have, dog, cat, rooster, whatever it may be, right? Okay, so what I've already done is, as mentioned before, I loaded my design onto the machine. I am using the 5x7 size of Beware of Dog Kisses. And I've already hooped my stabilizer. This, of course, is the Sticky Back Wash Away from Kimberbell. And I've also scored this. So if you look in your instructions in part 2, step 1, you're gonna notice that with just the tip of your scissors or even a little straight pin, you just wanna score along the outside perimeter here of this stabilizer, and then you peel the backing away. You peel the paper top away. What remains is a sticky back, thus the name Sticky Back Stabilizer, right? Okay, so I've hooped my stabilizer. It is ready for step 1. I'm just gonna put my foot down and stitch the placement line for this pet kerchief. All right, so I stitched the first step, and that was just the placement line. As you can see here, just creates a little V there. And that's gonna show me exactly where I want to place my the corner of my pet kerchief, all right? So I am going to take, remember we did this 1 inch fold here? Well, that comes into play right at this point, my friends, because I'm going to lay that folded corner right at the tip of the corner here and make sure the folded line on the fabric matches with the placement line of the V. And once it's done, this is the beauty of sticky back. I am just literally floating this on top, spreading this out, and it is not gonna go anywhere. It's stuck there temporarily, of course, to the stabilizer, okay? Now I'm ready to do my design. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, the first step is actually going to be a basting stitch, and this is a step that's going to be removed a little bit later, so no worries, it doesn't matter what thread color you're using at this point, but it is just a basting stitch, and this is a basting line for the kerchief itself, and then we'll go into the applique portion. All right, so this is just what the basting line looks like, just like you see here. Again, it's a separate type of stitch. That means it's going to be a longer stitch, which means you're going to be able to easily remove it a little bit later when needed. Okay. Now, according to the design that I'm doing today, which is Beware of Dog Kisses, the first step I'm going to be doing is an applique of the head. All right, but I want to point out that in the back of your instructions are color charts for any of the other designs. So you're going to get designs that say things like your Pawsome, get it? Pawsome. Been there, chewed that. That's another fun one. This one I especially love. I think I have it stitched out right here. Yeah. How about this? I'm the reason we can't have nice things. Yeah. How many of you have ever raised a puppy? How's that? That is definitely fitting right there, right? So that's a fun one. There's so many different designs. Did someone say walk? I'll tell you, if your pets are like mine, as soon as I say the W word, they're going crazy and they want to go out. So sometimes we have to spell out walk in our home. All right, so let's go ahead and start the applique process of this little dog head. And the first step is going to be the placement outline for the head. The placement line has been placed. I'm going to lay this down flat. This is something that you don't have to do every time you do a new step on the applique. You can actually do some of these steps actually right on the bed of your machine, but I want to show you in a little bit easier of a way exactly what I'm doing. So at this point, if you've never appliqué before, this will be a good little mini lesson, okay? I've done my placement outline of the head, but now I'm going to take my scrap fabric for the head and just place it over that. You just want to make sure it's entirely covered. Then I want to take my Kimberbell paper tape and just tape this down on each edge, just so that this fabric doesn't shift while I go to do my next step, which is the tack down stitch. Okay, the tack down line went exactly over where that first initial placement line was, and now we have all this extra fabric we need to cut away, right? So I'm going to lay this down on a flat surface. This is something, if you've seen me teach before, you know I'm going to say it over and over again because it's that important. And that is that I don't want you to cut this on your lap. All right, promise me you won't do that. If you do that, and I know it's tempting to do it because you go, oh yeah, I'll just take this off real quick, cut it in my lap, you risk the chance of popping your project out of the hoop, and nobody has time for that, right? So take the time and clear a surface to lay it down on a flat surface like a table. Promise. And once you've done that, then you're going to cut away the extra fabric beyond that stitch line. So I'm going to take my Kimberbell scissors. I actually prefer the Kimberbell duckbill scissors right here. I love how thin this is. We wanted to make sure it was just a 1/2 inch here. That's going to help us get really close to the stitch line. The other thing I like to do with our scissors is have this duckbill rest on top of the applique, and it's towards the center of the applique as I cut around. Now this will make a difference with how close of a cut you get to your stitches, of course, without cutting into the stitches. So again, I'm going to lay the duckbill on top, and with my other hand, my opposite hand, I want to pull this fabric nice and taut. Okay, and look how nice and close that gets up to those to that stitch line. All right. Now I'm no scissor police. If you have a way that you like to use duckbill scissors and want to cut it the opposite way, where the duckbill lays underneath the fabric, that is certainly okay too. But from my experience, this is such a great way to get a nice, clean, close cut. All right. Okay, there we go. Whew, I got my first step done, my first applique dog face done. Now, according to your directions, you're going to continue to follow through a series of steps of applique fabrics. The next one, if I were to put this back onto my machine at this point, I would be doing the dog ears. And then it continues to go beyond that. We've got, I believe the face would be next. There's just so many different parts to this. Yeah, the face. And then finally, it will get to the point where it will do a satin outline in this particular design to cover up those raw edges. All right, and then eventually we'll get to the words on there that says beware of dog kisses. All right. All right, once you've done that, no matter what design you're stitching out, again, all of the step-by-step color charts are in the back of your instructions, but eventually you're going to get to the point where you've got to sew this back together. So let's go ahead and go to that point with one of these other designs I already have. All right, so you've stitched your favorite design on the pet kerchief, and now it's time to really put this blank to the test. You're gonna love how easy this is to put together, because once it's been stitched out, you can see it's still open, but I wanna close it up. So I'm going to fold it with the right sides together. And this is all outlined in part 3 of your instructions. So take a closer look at that. And then I want to just pin around the outside edge here. Okay, just going to place a few pins in here. I'm going to mark something. This is not something you have to do, but I'm going to, just for you to be able to see it easier, you want to leave a little bit of an opening right here. You know, it doesn't have to be exact, maybe like a 2 to 3 inch opening, because of course you need a place for this to turn inside out eventually. So if I were to pin all the way around this, I would then take it to my sewing machine and stitch this closed, okay? I would actually start from the top here, and I'm going to sew about a 3/8 inch seam, 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch seam, doesn't really matter, but I'm gonna say a 3/8 inch seam from the top of the fold all the way down this perimeter, all the way down here till I get to this place where I marked my blue line. Again, you don't have to mark it, but visually, if you want to get a better idea of how much I'm leaving this open, this is where I would stop. Then I'm going to skip and then start my stitching again, going all the way around the edge and going up to that top fold. All right, so once you've done that, you can go ahead and turn your pet kerchief right side out, okay? And then fold that under and do a top stitch. So that is outlined in part 3, direction step 3 that you see right there on your screen, okay? And then once I've done that, then I want to just do a quick top stitch. So let's go ahead, let's use this little cute cat design, shall we? Oh, so tiny. I absolutely think that's adorable. Okay, so what we did here is once we turned that inside out and we poked out our corners, gave it a good press, then we just did a simple top stitch along that perimeter, okay? All right, now here's the beauty of these snaps. Let's take this one, for example, because I gotta show all of them to you, right? Been there, chewed that. That's another fun one. At this point, I actually want to lay this down flat. I can take my pet collar and just position it right down the middle here. And look at there. Snap, snap, snap. Oh my goodness. I cannot wait to finish this for my little Bella. Super excited. Look. So how cute would this be to take these and donate them, make a whole bunch of them, and donate them to your local pet shelter so that when dogs or cats are adopted, they could go home with a little pet kerchief? Oh, I think that would be super cute. Really, really fun idea, right? So whether you've got pets yourselves or you've got a local shelter that you could donate these to, or hey, maybe you've got some grand fur babies, right? The playful pet kerchiefs are going to be something that you definitely want to have in your home. All right, thank you for joining me today. You can find these Pet Kerchief Blanks, the CD, the designs, all of it at your favorite quilt shop. Thanks for joining me.